Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sorin Space. Today, I want to talk about the most famous experiment in modern physics, the double-slit experiment. It is often described as mysterious, sometimes even magical. Particles behave like waves. Waves behave like particles. Observation seems to change reality. But what if the mystery is not in reality itself, but in how reality is read? 1. What the double-slit experiment actually shows. Let us begin with what physics clearly demonstrates. When particles such as electrons or photons are fired one by one through two slits. Without which path detection, an interference pattern appears. With which path detection, the interference pattern disappears. This is not disputed. This is experimental fact. The question is not what happens, but where the change occurs. 2. The common misinterpretation. Many explanations implicitly assume this: observation causes reality to collapse. This phrasing is intuitive, but it quietly inserts an unnecessary assumption. That collapse is a physical event happening to the particle itself. Physics does not require this assumption, and once we remove it, the paradox dissolves. 3. Reality versus slice. To understand this correctly, we must separate two layers. The first layer is reality, continuous, fully evolving, described by quantum mechanics, not limited to a single outcome. The second layer is the slice, a three-dimensional cross-section, a low-dimensional projection, readable by a finite observer system, required to be internally consistent. Reality evolves. Slices are read. 4. What a slice must do to be readable. A slice cannot display incompatible states at the same time. An observer system, whether human or instrument, requires a single trajectory, a consistent causal history, a recordable outcome. This requirement does not apply to reality as a whole. It applies only to the interface between reality and observation. 5. Collapse as formatting. This leads to the key point. Collapse is not a physical reduction of reality. It is a formatting constraint applied to a slice. In the double-slit experiment, the interference pattern exists at the level of reality. The which path result exists at the level of slice display. Both are valid. They simply belong to different readout regimes. Nothing needs to be destroyed. The interface simply selects a single readable format. 6. Why measurement changes the outcome. Measurement does not force the particle to choose. Measurement changes what the interface is allowed to read. When which path information is available, the slice must encode a definite trajectory. Interference and trajectory are incompatible formats. The slice can only render one. This is not a physical contradiction. It is a display constraint. 7. The index of time. The collapse appears to happen at a moment because the slice requires a time index. Time in this context is the indexing system used by the interface. The collapse is not a mechanical break in the universe. It is simply where the record is written down. 8. Why this does not conflict with physics. This explanation does not alter quantum equations, does not add hidden variables, does not invoke consciousness as a force, does not contradict experimental results. It simply relocates collapse from reality. Interface physics describes evolution. Interfaces describe readability. 9. What the double-slit experiment is really teaching us. The double-slit experiment is not telling us that reality is unstable. It is telling us something far more precise. Reality is richer than any single slice can display. Wave-like and particle-like behaviors are not contradictions in reality. They are different interface-compatible projections. Final resolution. Reality does not collapse. Possibilities do not vanish. What collapses is what can be shown on a slice. Reality evolves. The interface resolves. That is why collapse happens at the interface, not in reality. Thank you. The first layer is reality. Continuous, fully evolving. Described by quantum mechanics, not limited to a single outcome.